Welcome to this episode of how to finish a Night Rider dash. I'm going to be showing you the steps on how to finish up a Night Rider dash. Most people buy these dashes and a lot of them don't get them finished. You get them out of mold sometimes. You have to go and search for air pockets because believe me, I don't care if you've been doing fiberglass for 30 years, you're always going to have some imperfections in your layup and a little bit of air pockets in there. Even if you can't see it, if the part looks perfect when you get it, doesn't mean there's not air pockets. Sometimes you have to heat it up under the sun for an hour or two before those little air pockets will show up. Sometimes you have to go over the edges with a screwdriver and then they'll show up, you know, going around the edges. Something, you know, just so you go over all your edges, making sure there's no air pockets. And believe me, I guarantee you, you're going to find some on anybody's part that you buy. So I've already gone over this whole dash from top to bottom, every corner, every crevice, and I'll show you. I'll be honest, there's a little bit right here where the gel coat chipped off, and that's because it pulled on the mold a little bit. It's really tight there inside the mold. Another little spot here, tiny one there. You got some chips here. Again, this is where it pulled on the mold. It grabbed real tight and it chipped up that gel coat, and huge air pocket here. I don't know how that happened, but that's from the layup. That's from not getting the roller in there deep enough. So that's going to take some filler. But all these things are repairable. That's the good thing about fiberglass. It's easy to repair with some body filler. You can use the Dyna glass stuff. I usually use high-end body filler, 3M Platinum. There's some high end. Usually it's going to be $50-$60 a gallon. That's how you'll know if it's good stuff. The cheaper fillers, they're going to cost you probably $30 a gallon, 20 something dollars a gallon. So you pay a little bit extra for the good fillers. You're not going to have that shrinkage problem, that cracking problem. And a lot of people do work and they use the regular Bondo, and that stuff it can be brittle, and you can end up sanding it out and painting your part, and then later on having it in the sun in your car, and then pretty soon that little chip or air pocket pops up again, or cracks, spider cracks into it, and that's because you're probably using just a cheap filler. So I highly recommend, get a good filler. Again, I use the 3M Platinum Plus, which is about $50-$60 a gallon. And I'm going to just show you guys how I feel. It's very simple. It's like anything else. It's like doing body work on a car. You just get your filler and just get your spreader, and you're going to cover those spots, all the little pinholes that you find, and then we're just going to rub them out with some 80 grit to 180, and then when it's nice and smooth, you can see I did one little spot here and one little spot there. Once it's nice and smooth, you just you're going to primer over it. Really simple stuff. It's not rocket science or anything like that. It's not something super hard. Anyone can do it. And yeah, don't be discouraged if you get a dash and it's got a few imperfections in it. It's gonna happen to all of them. Let's begin. Let's get the filler out. Let's get some filler on this thing.
Michael, Devin just called. An emergency has come up. He wants you back at the semi right away.
All systems on alert. All systems on alert.
camera, it died before I could finish sanding this. I think it took me about 3 hours to do all the filler and sanding of the filler. You can see that it looked like I put a lot of filler on, but most of it just sands right off. So in the end, I mean, you can see there's a little filler there, a little bit up in there. Put a skim coat up on top. If I see it a little bit flaky in the gel coat anywhere, I like to put a little skim coat. A little skim coat there. A couple little spots there. Right here where it grabbed in the mold, I put a nice skim coat there. And right here. The top really was fine, other than this back spot. And look, it's just a little dab of filler. So it's really not that much filler. There was a big air pocket here, but in the end result, you can see it's perfectly fine. And a couple skim coat right there, just because it was a little bit, had a little bit of pinholes and stuff, so I just put a little bit. And here, I always have to fill that bottom piece because my mold came out, it's alligator ring is what we call it in a mold when you spray the gel coat and it kind of ripples on you because it's too cold or whatever. And so my mold's not too good at the bottom of this piece. You're not going to see it, but you know, I always fix that if I'm doing a finished product because you know, you want it nice looking. So that's why I did that. Everything's looking good now. It's ready for primer, and I'll use black primer on this. I use a poly primer, which is a really surfacer primer. You could stack it up pretty high, so if you got any little small scratch marks here and there, it'll fill it right in perfectly. And then you just block that out with 32400 right before you paint. So yeah, this thing's ready for primer. I got one more dash I gotta finish off, and a couple other I think an upper console and a pod. So I'm trying to finish that up by this month. Hopefully I can get it done. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. That's how I fix the imperfections in a dash, fiberglass dash.